there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Aaron here. Thanks for coming by and checking out another episode, podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it. Still working on the intro. We were using some of the music from Star Wars. We kept getting hit with copyright claims, or I should say I kept getting hit with copyright claims. But today, we're going to talk about something that's been brought up in some of the comments, and that has been the case against Amos Miller, who is a Amish farmer in Pennsylvania and basically has been dealing with the USDA over the last few years. And basically he has a PMA set up and was selling raw milk, organic meats. None of it was processed in USDA facilities, so there was no chemicals or anything like that in it. So a couple people said, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about this case, seeing as it is a PMA and has been going through the court. So there's a couple different links I'm going to put down in the description where you can go and check out some of this stuff that I'm referencing. There's a couple good websites in here that I'm going to share with you. I'm also going to provide a link. If you just click on it, put in your email, you'll get sent all the documents that I'm looking at, should you choose to go through all of them. So really what it comes down to is Amos was doing this on his own when dealing with the government. So basically what happened is the U.S. government turns Miller in for processing meat without government inspection, right? He wanted to provide meats and milks to his members, right? So as we know, we have certain rights of association, certain things we can do within our association, as long as there's not that clear and present evil, substantial evil, danger, anything like that, where we're not, it's not like he's selling fentanyl pills to somebody, right? So that being said, I'm going to get into some of the court stuff here in a second, but this one website I came across really broke things down really well, and that's healinglaw.com. I will put their link down below, but basically, when you start looking at what Amos Miller was doing when the government came in and said, hey, listen, your meats, your milks, your eggs, everything needs to go through the USDA. It needs to be inspected. And what Amos did, in my opinion, is heavily on the state national secured party creditors, the Anavan rights stuff, the sovereign citizen type defense. And this is why I try to steer people away from this, because more often you see people going to jail for contempt of court and whatnot. So some of the things, and you got to read his over his affidavit. I have an affidavit here, and if any of you have gone through the Dr. Graves course, how to win in court without a lawyer, you know that an affidavit is not a pleading. It is nothing other than your statement outside of court, or somebody else's statement outside of court, sworn that it is their true and factual statement, which it could be full of hearsay. So you would have to prove that affidavit is in fact not true. So like I could say in an affidavit, I own the Brooklyn Bridge, and have a notary sign it and say, yes, I'm swearing to this as if I was in court that I own the Brooklyn Bridge. Well, that would just get thrown out as hearsay and not an actual factual statement. So basically some of the things he includes in his defense, and if he had literally just gone on the right of association, or if he's even set up as a ministry, I'm not quite sure how his PMA is set up. You used to be able to see his agreement and stuff like that online. I don't have a copy of it anymore. But basically, if he had just stuck to one or two defenses and made things simpler than trying to go down this secured party creditor, sovereign citizen movement, state national, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's probably even better. But for I think most of the viewers, they've gone down that rabbit hole at some point in time. I know I have myself. And basically, he includes a Copyright Act, a discharge copy of his birth certificate, appeals to UCC law, a trust agreement, bonds, and a few other things he throws in there. And basically just really confusing, muddying the waters, as if he had just stuck to the right of association and that he is not doing anything to harm his members, or even if he was set up as a faith-based organization or a ministry and providing products, the animals, the meats, that sort of thing, the milks, and he was doing everything to a biblical standard, kind of like Jewish people with kosher food. So if he had stuck with that, left out the surety bond nonsense, left out the birth certificate crap, left out, this affidavit, and you got to give it a read. It's very interesting. And I'll go into some parts of it. Things would have been a lot easier if he had just kept it simple, kept it to 1 or 2 points based on the right of association and private membership agreement. And on this healinglaw.com, which he gives it, or he or she, I don't know who wrote this, gave it a real good breakdown. And he even talks, or they even talk about private membership associations and how they're mostly exempt from federal rule. And I'm not going to read it word for word, but he does bring up some good points. Again, the example of, alcohol being sold. And here he talks, or he or she, I should probably know the name of the person that's writing all this. But anyways, on the website, they talk about the PMA and how, like in North Carolina, there's still bars that operate as PMAs to bypass the state liquor selling requirements. And, here in Connecticut, there's certain things like education, if it's a ministry, or a church, and they're providing education to its members, the children's, the members' kids, they don't need to be licensed through the state. And there's 6 or 7 other states that are like that, and others that have loosely framed statutes that are somewhat similar. So my point is that if Amos would have just kept this simple and to the point of a private membership association, I'm only dealing with my members, I'm not offering public accommodation, I have exclusivity to who I'm letting in, so on and so forth, he probably would have had a better chance sticking to 1 or 2 points based on that. And then it goes into some other aspects of law, especially with common law stuff. There has to be an injured party. Who's the injured party here? There isn't one. How can the government come in as an actor, as not a living, breathing man or woman, and bring suit against, Amos? So that being said, that's one website. Definitely check on there, read through it. Some very good information. But another one that I was looking at here, if I can get to it, was, this actually ended up on Carlson Tucker. I didn't even know that. I haven't watched Fox News in a very long time. I'm more of a One American News Network, OAN, I think so. I think that's what it stands for. But basically, he has one of these journalists on here that come out and basically say, hey, this is what's been going on, to bring light to it. And as we all know, basically in the court proceedings, Amos has had basically levies and fines put against him up to about $300,000. And they just didn't want him to continue operating. They came in and inspected all of his meats and livestock to ensure that he wasn't selling any. And then they got so far as to actually saying that, hey, listen, we might even, attach your wife to this to bring you in to put her and yourself will both be incarcerated based on all this stuff. And what I want to do is, let's see here, as we're looking through this, and this goes back all the way to, it's the affidavit. This goes, back to like 2019, in a little bit further. He's been in dealing with the government, I think back as far as 2016, 2017, somewhere around then. So again, like I said, he was selling to his members. The USDA didn't like that. They wanted. I'm trying to find out the actual name of the agency that came out. Oh, here it is. It's the U.S. Department of Agricultural, Food Safety, and Inspection Services, basically represented by the U.S. Department of Justice, filed civil actions requiring Miller and Miller Organic Farms to comply with federal meat and poultry food safety statutes. Now, if I am in a PMA and I am joining a private membership association, whether it's a ministry or what have you, faith-based operation, organization, if I'm joining, I as an adult, as a living, breathing being, man, person, whatever you want to put on it, I'm coming to you saying, I understand what you're doing in your PMA. I would like to become a part of your PMA. And in doing so, I know that there are risks involved. If I'm going to be consuming raw milk, I know that there might be a risk in that, or meats that aren't processed in USDA plants and aren't done a certain way. But the problem is the big fat government doesn't like what Amos is doing, because he's taking out the middleman. He is now saying, hey, listen, I have a farm. I like farming. I do things a certain way. And if I believe correctly, he doesn't even use like gas or fertilizer or anything like that on his farm. It's probably about as organic as you can get and natural. And because of that, he's taking out the Department of Agricultural, Food Safety, and Inspection Services, the FSIS for short, and basically saying, well, you're not getting any money. You're not charging me anything. I'm going direct to my consumer and cutting out that middleman. And because of that, they know that there is a chance that they could buy a organic duck for me, and something could go wrong, or if it wasn't cooked properly when the person got it. I mean, my point is they know you're taking on risks, and the government doesn't like the fact that you're cutting them out. So again, going back to the original thing, if he would have left out all the UCC crap and all the birth certificate garbage and my all capital letters name, and just focused on the right of association and the standing court cases, and there's many of them that deal with that, I think he would have been better off. So anyways, that's basically what had been going on. And you can read some of these articles, but they kept filing stuff. And basically, I think at this point, he's trying to work out some compromise with the government. Obviously, he doesn't want to process any of his meat or dairy in any of the USDA plants, but he also doesn't want his wife to go to jail or prison, right? Or be incarcerated, whatever you want to call it. And that's basically what the good old federal government is threatening in this show cause hearing. They wanted to attach her and have her go to prison. So obviously, he needs to protect his wife and his family. So yes, if they're coming after him, that's one thing. But when they start coming after our family, that's when we have to decide where we're going to bend and how we're going to fight this. So that being said, I kind of just want to go down a timeline schedule, and you can get this, like I said, if you use the link down below, type in your email, I'll fire you off an email with all this stuff in it, and then you can go and you can actually see the full docket. You can see all the case stuff. You can read all of it if you want. I haven't gone through all of it yet. I am going to go through some more of this, probably do a second video when I have a little bit more of the actual court proceedings to go over and look at, and we can kind of see where he's gone right and where he's gone wrong, and how the government, this agency that was, this entity that was created by us, the people, and given their power by the state, where they're really overstepping their bounds and basically acting as if they're the creator, and they're not. We are. The states were this, So anyways, that's a whole nother topic to get into as far as Liberty First and whatnot. But so basically, on April 4th, 2019, a complaint was filed against Mr. Miller and Miller's Organic Farm by the United States of America. It's basically 97 pages, and it's the U.S. government turns Miller in for processing meat without government inspection. July 2019, July 11th, 2019, Stephen LaFonte, I might be saying that wrong, of Dallas, Texas, became the court-appointed attorney for Miller's case in Pennsylvania. on November 19th, 2019, basically an order that the motion for summary judgment be filed by the plaintiff, the United States of America. Doc number 35 is granted federal rule of civil procedures. The court has jurisdiction over the subject matter and the complaint and personal jurisdiction over all the parties. Basically, that is signed by the Honorable Judge Edward G. Smith. Then on there is a consent decree, which I don't have here, but that was taken care of on April 16th, 2020. Then September 28th, 2020, there's basically I believe it might have been the FBI, one of the three-letter agencies showed up with the FSIS, the agricultural department, to basically force inventory of all meat and animal body parts, packaged or not, on premise at Miller Organic Farms. They came with guns a-blazing and basically stormed the place as if he was some extremist terrorist or something along those lines, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then on June 9th, 2021, a show cause why an order should not be entered holding the defendants in contempt of the courts November 19th, 2019 permanent injunction order. Basically, the injunction it basically says, hey, listen, you can't operate anymore as a farm. You can't sell your meat to anybody or anything like that. So Miller accused of not ceasing meat processing operations. Then on June 16th, 2021, court finds Amos Miller in contempt of the permanent injunction from November 19th. So Miller found guilty of not ceasing meat processing operations. So even though he was told not to, and we've seen this with some PMAs that have been challenged, or these PEAs or ministries that are providing education to its members, where they get a either a cease and desist, and then they get a preliminary injunction or a permanent injunction. Usually it's a preliminary injunction done first. So I don't know who's calling me. Put that to voicemail. So then on August 19th, 2021, there's a motion to alter judgment filed by Amos Miller and Miller Organic Farm. Basically, Miller appeals for a better judgment. And then on October 21st, 2021, the motion to withdraw as attorney filed by, so basically he has an attorney and he files a motion to withdraw that attorney because he doesn't want that Stephen guy helping him. So Miller seeks to dismiss his court-appointed attorney. That doesn't happen. I believe he still has him. That happens. He gets removed. And then on November 3rd, 2021, the Prairie Star National begins legal counsel for Miller, so he has somebody else. And then on November 4th, the USA rebuts Miller's attempt to dismiss his court-appointed attorney. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. There's a lot of dates here. There's a lot of back and forth. So basically, he stuck with that guy. And then on November 16th, 2021, the court instructed to reject Star International filing the attorney that he was looking for. Basically, the clerk of the court is directed to reject any attempted filings in this matter by Prairie Star National, an unlicensed third-party entity. Let's see. Basically, spewing off sovereign citizen political beliefs who support a where am I? I lost it. To represent the defendant and defendant Amos Miller and Miller Organic Farm. So basically, he hires a third party to come in that is in the sovereign citizen movement or state national. It's kind of all the same thing, in my opinion. And basically, the court is directing the clerk not to accept anything or any filings by this person or this entity. The court then denies on February 7th. So if we go back, we look at October 21st, 2021. Miller looks to remove his attorney, court-appointed attorney Stevens, and then on February 7th, 2022, the court denies the removal of the attorney LaFontaise. So it took a few months before we could, actually almost, a handful of months here before the court even gets back about taking off this court-appointed attorney. And then, let's see, July 28th, 2022, there's a motion to show cause, and this is where we start coming into the issue of the wife. And the motion to show motion for order to show cause. It's late in the day. What time is it? I'm recording this and it's like almost 6 o'clock at night. It's been a long day. To show cause why Amos Miller should not be incarcerated as further civil contempt sanctions, and Rebecca R. Miller should not be a defendant in the actions filed by the United States of America. So basically, Amos is threatened with imprisonment, and his wife is threatened to be brought in as a second defendant. And basically, then they come after her and, basically intimidation and say, hey, listen, pay these fines, stop operating, close down shop, or you too are going to find yourself in imprisonment along with your husband. And then basically on August 5th of 2022, there's a motion for stay of proceedings filed by Amos Miller, and basically he's just asking the judge to stop at this point. And I think this is now where we're coming into the compromising as far as what they're going to be doing. So that's kind of like the timeline. Like I said, you can download this. Just fill out the information in the link below. It'll bring you to like a pop-up. Just put in your email. I get notification, and then I'll send it out to you. And then if we look at the affidavit to dismissing charges, it starts off with to whom concerns enclosed is the original UCC filing 2022-23033 blah 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 from the Secretary of State of Colorado, cause number, and then please be advised that the secured party has accepted for value as I am now holder in due course of any/all documents. Therefore, I revoke and rescind my signature for good cause of any and all documents as identified above, and hereby revoke any and all power of attorney held by the state of California over my personal and or property. I don't understand why it's in California. And then it goes into a bond. And see, this is where it's now like you've already lost half the people in the courtroom. The judge is like, okay, I'm not even going to listen to this nonsense because it just doesn't make sense. So, then it gets into public hazard bonding for corporate agents. Let it be known to the court and all officers, a commercial lien, a 90-day grace period before levying may be used by a citizen to collect a debt or secure a promise, service, oath, public office. Basically saying that he's going to go after all your attorneys are bonded, all your judges have surety bonds on them, and if they lose, if a lawyer gets too many complaints or grievances filed, they can pull their insurance, and then they're not allowed to, it makes it difficult for them to practice. So basically he's just saying he's going to try to come after their bond, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why you would even go down this route when you are clearly operating a private membership association, have the right of association. So anyways, and then it goes into, notice of agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Yeah, this is all not needed. What else do we have? Let me see if I can get into the actual affidavit where these are all attachments. A hold harmless and indemnity agreement, non-negotiable private between the parties, and it has Amos blank Miller trust, and then it has trustee as Amos blank Miller. Like, a lot of this doesn't make sense how it was done or why it was done. Then there's a common law copyright notice. Like, this stuff is not needed. Just, I mean, I hate to say it, but if he would have taken, Dr. Gray's course, he probably would have understood exactly a little bit better what he was getting into, as opposed to following some person on the internet trying to peddle stuff that's been around for decades when it comes to the whole state, national, sovereign, citizen stuff. Then he has his notice concerning fiduciary relationship. It looks like IRS Form 56. Let's see, where is and this, we haven't even gotten to the actual affidavit yet. And then is his birth certificate. Then there's some private registered bond for investment, private registered self-backed bond based on future earnings of his live birth. Oh, so this is dealing with the birth certificate and how the birth certificate is in your all capital letters name, and there's this whole secret trust set up and blah, blah, blah. And anyways, so he really went deep down the rabbit hole on this one. And I haven't gotten to the actual affidavit of truth. And even his affidavit of truth, just it's weird, that I, Amos blank Miller, a copyright sign, a living, breathing man, being duly sworn, deposed, and say and declared by my signature, the following facts are true, correct, complete, to the best of my knowledge and belief. So the best of my knowledge and belief is probably the only best part so far out of this. That the affidavit is a flesh and blood man and a secured party creditor in a collective capacity with other secured. See, like right there, this is just ridiculous. And there's no case law in here. There's nothing backing up what he's saying. There's a few things about debt and stuff like that, but I mean, personally, this whole UCC thing, there's a lot of it out there. It is, the UCC is a thing, the Uniform Commercial Code, but it's for commercial code. Now, if you're operating as a private membership association, you cannot then be saying you're using the Universal Commercial Code or other things, because you are operating privately. You are a collective group of self-governing individuals. So, oh man, we're almost at like 30 minutes on this video. Hopefully this kind of gives you a better understanding of where this is going and why this is, in my humble opinion, I think it's going to fail, because he didn't stick to one or two defenses. He didn't use the courts properly. He tried to bring in, a third party that deals with sovereignty or sovereign citizens or state nationals. He started going down this road of the UCC and a birth certificate and everything else, all these things that he shouldn't have done, when he could have just brought up case law that deals with the right of association. And especially if he's set up as a ministry or faith-based organization, then he would have that right also to provide processed meats or cheeses or whatever he's providing to his members, that's based on a biblical standard, no different than somebody who is Jewish who has kosher food. So that's it. Like I said, there's some links down below. Check them out if you want to read more into this. But in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at here with this PMA and why it has gone so awry and been in the courts for so long. And there are others out there operating, but again, the government's going to make an example out of him. And if he had, we don't only get really one good try at this when we go to court, unless you're appealing something. So, it would have been better to have seen him either hire a constitutional attorney that deals with the First Amendment and the right of association and the 14th Amendment and that sort of thing, and really be able to litigate his case for him, or at least done it a little more properly, like I said, and focusing on one or two defenses and reasons why this needs to be getting thrown out, and not all this other nonsense with it. Because again, if he has made an example, this is now going to set precedents for all the other farms out there operating as PMAs. And, now they have, which could possibly be this case, say, hey, look, this guy was operating as a PMA, and granted, he's done a lot of things wrong here with this case, but we don't want that case law out there saying, hey, listen, you're a PMA that's a farm. Oh, you can't sell your eggs to your neighbor, or you can't sell your vegetables to your neighbor, or, in this case, somebody in California can't buy some raw milk. Now, on a side note, there are some places out there, if you are somebody who was buying from Amos and now you can't get it, there are other farms out there, but they don't necessarily operate as a PMA, especially if you're looking for raw organic milk or camel's milk or anything like that. They're actually herd shares. And basically you own a part of that animal. And in those certain states that allow this, you can consume so much product, I guess we'll call it, from that animal. So if you own a eighth of a camel, I don't know how much milk you can drink, but maybe it's 3 gallons a month or something. I don't know. But anyways, there's also those to look for out there. Please feel free to comment down below what you think on this, especially if you get a chance to read some of the documents and other websites. But yeah, I'll probably do a part 2 to this where I really dive into some of what he's actually filing. I just haven't had time. But thanks for watching as always, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.